Wanadhani ya bongo lala.
Tumejamu sijifanye uja notice.
Wanadhani ya bongo lala.
Tumejamu sijifanye uja notice.
Wambie punde imechoka sana.
Tumejamu sijifanye uja notice.
Wambie punde imechoka sana.
Tumejamu sijifanye uja notice.
Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready.
It should be appreciated that there are also facilities that need improvement, and that is the fact that state houses have remained unrenovated for years is in itself an eyesore. And so we have, from last year, done a lot of renovations. And now these installations, most government buildings have not been renovated for long. In fact, some, if we had money, the National Treasury is in a terrible state. I would want it renovated. It's only that I look at money going for primary health care vis-a-vis renovating my office. If you come to my office, Sam, and that is the National Treasury, and you look at the window, it is terrible. It needs renovation. But it may not be a priority now. But that does not mean we don't need to renovate this building. Because again, if you leave government buildings unattended to, you will end up spending much more in future. So the fact that a location has gone to State House should not in itself be condemned.
I actually like your answer, but my question was about government advisory.
Government?
Advisory.
You are asking about president advisors?
Yes.
I don't have authority to hire advisors for the president. Sam, you know, I don't want us to go beyond my paycheck.
No. Your estimates. I'm talking about your estimates. Waziri, 1.246 billion shillings.
The law allows the president. The law allows the president
to hire advisors.
How
many?
And by the way, there is no provision in terms of numbers. The people of Kenya didn't give.
Do you
what
recall?
What the people of Kenya did was to allocate to the president the maximum number of cabinet. But in terms of advisors, if you go to the law, it is left open.
There's a circular published by your predecessor to cut government advisors by 50%. Not them, but reduce government advisors by 50%.
That has been done.
Does that affect
religiously?
Does that affect the presidency?
That circular did not affect presidency because cabinet secretary for treasury cannot issue a circular to the president.
Even when it's a government position?
You cannot. The government position that is binding to the entire government, including the office of the president, is a circular from the office of the president. From National Treasury, it's at that level. That one.
So who'd send the circular from the office of the president?
If you make that mistake, you'd be running a chaotic government.
So who'd send who'd send the circular from the office of the president?
Either the president himself, or he can use the president has head of public service who issues circulars.
Do you know that he actually communicated about that circular, the head of public service?
About?
That circular of cutting the number of advisors.
And that has been implemented.
Felix Koskei communicated that.
That has been implemented, Sam.
But you're saying he's the only one who can give an instruction that affects the office of the president.
So now the question you are asking me is why the president is not respecting circular Felix Koskei.
That's a good question.
No, I think Sam, that one will be debating throughout the night.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's stick to what is within my paycheck.
Okay.
And it is this, that all advisors were cut by at least 50%. Today, Sam, I only have one advisor. My predecessor had two. So that is how much we have.
But that advice is enough, no?
I don't know whether it is enough, but I'm surviving. Okay. I have technical people who are supporting me, so I am okay.
There was a promise from the president that starting the financial year 2025-2026, there will be zero-based budgeting. Have you achieved it?
Largely so. You know, this is something that we have complained about previously, that our budgeting process was on an incremental basis. Which simply means that you look at what was allocated the previous financial year, and then you allocate additional amount depending on how you like that MDA. Now this year, one of the communications that came from the Treasury was that we were going to do a zero-based budget. And we developed a tool in the IFMI system which was given to the sector working groups to use, so that you will find standardization of even prices. If the same item or product is bought by government ministries, or you are budgeting to buy a table, whichever standard of the table, the price that is used in one line ministry is the same price in the other one. So that we don't have a situation where you are buying 5 tables, for example, and another MDA is buying 3, and yet the budget allocated to them for the same table is higher than this one. So that
is that what zero-based budgeting means?
That is the simplest that I can give to you. You wanted a simple language. Zero-based budget simply means...
Okay, so what is zero-based budgeting?
You want me to get them technical? Zero-based budget simply means that you have to justify each and every program, each and every budgetary allocation that you are given. So you don't start from somewhere, you start from zero. That is why it is called zero-based budget. So you say, in my ministry, these are the programs that I want to run. You justify them, and then you cost them.
So when did that happen, for instance, for the Ministry of Water?
It happened across board for all of them. When and
how for the Ministry of Water?
Maybe I don't get your question.
I'm asking because you're saying that you have to justify every item. If you need a chair, you have to justify we need a chair. And you're saying it's at every ministry. So when did you do the zero-based budgeting for the Ministry of Water?
So let me then explain it to you further, that the sector working groups, we have what we call sector working groups. So the sector working groups were given instruction from October, November. That was a period for sector working groups. So each sector was justifying their zero-based budget. Each sector was coming up with the actual number of employees that they have in their system, the people they want to employ, and justifying why they want to employ them, and costing the salaries and explaining we need this money.
Okay.
Then you move to the next item. So that happened in the month of October and November, and that is not being done by Treasury. I want to be very clear. When it comes to sector working groups and allocating revenue, allocating budget, it is done at the sector working groups on zero-based basis. Okay. What Treasury did was to provide a tool to help these MDAs, to help the sector working groups to come up with their budgets.
All right.
So that is the only thing.
All right, we'll be weighing that.
And I want facilitation. I think I need to make that clarity so that it doesn't go as if that is the truth. I think there's a gentleman who sent a text that on scrap metals we are increasing withholding tax to 5%, and that is not correct. I think what he meant is that there is an amendment that we are bringing there. Remember, before, supply of services to governments was subjected to withholding tax. However, supply of goods were not. So we brought an amendment in December through the tax laws amendment bill that supply of goods and scrap metals also should be subjected to withholding tax at the same rate. Now this year we are not changing the rates. The only thing we are doing is what we forgot to do was to determine the supply of goods and scrap metal as income, because that was not captured in law. So you have to make sure that is also captured in law, that these are income. If you just subject them to withholding tax without putting it in law that they are also income, then you don't collect the tax. There was that confusion. So that is what we are trying to do. We are not amending, we are not changing any tax rates.
President, and there are several deals that were signed going into hundreds of billions, or tens of billions rather, more than 100 billion. And those MOUs, one of them talks about a chicken farm in Kajiado costing some 3.8 billion shillings. These are breeding birds that are to be reared there. There's also a plan to have the hotels in town, Hilton Hotel and Intercontinental Hotel. I think they're combined of more than 2 billion shillings. What is it that the government of Kenya is offering these investors that looks so attractive that is difficult to give to local investors to do similar work in the country?
Well, you see, I was the first one to go to China. Let me first put it very clearly that China is a very important trading partner and development partner that we cannot ignore. It's emerging as one of our serious destinations for coffee. But in terms of bilateral loans or debts, China is leading. Of the total 1.07 trillion debt, 660-something billion is owed to China. So that is not a development partner you would ignore. So we must engage. I went to China. We had engagement on a number of projects. Discussion around SGR, extending it from Naivasha to do line 2B to Kisumu and do line 2C to Malaba, so that it connects with the one that Uganda is starting. To go all the way to Rwanda, we had a meeting with the Minister for Rwanda, Uganda. We want to go all the way to DRC and open up this market. It is good for Kenya. Now there is also the issue of Rironi Mau Summit, but all these discussions are around PPP projects mostly, because we also feel that we are squeezed in terms of the fiscal space to take more loans. Now in terms of investment, private investments, these are negotiated through the ministry, and this will be, the details will come out. For someone to invest, someone must see value in that investment. And there are so many foreign investments in the country. We don't ask why is a foreign investor coming and not a local investor. It depends on the capacity of that foreign investor. And by the way, direct foreign investment is very good. It brings a lot of foreign exchange, and it brings expertise and professionalism. So if there are hotels around that can be converted and can be bought by or invested in by those foreign investments, hotels which probably we could not run as a government, the better. But the process will be competitive. That is the starting point.
But at least won't include Kenyan investors, right?
No. I have not read the details of the process, but I don't see why it shouldn't. I think the process, when you sign MOU, is an intention. MOU is not an agreement. Okay. So we have not signed any agreement with anybody. Right. There is intention. Right. We are telling them these facilities are here. You can come competitively. By the way, even this Rironi Mau Summit, if you have money, please come and bid. And do it. It doesn't have to be done by Chinese. It's only that there are people who have more resources than us. And they can come in and invest in our public.
Again, I like your answer, but my question was very specific to Kajiado Chicken Farm, worth 3.8 billion shillings, to create 500 jobs, to rear 10,000 breeding birds, but you say you don't have the specifics?
No, I don't have. Those ones with the specifics now will be the line ministries negotiating. When it comes to the treasury, it comes for concurrence. So it will come. If now the government decides to implement, the cabinet memo will come from the line ministry, come to National Treasury. Before I sign it, Sama will be satisfied that all the conditions are met. Then is when I will sign it to go to the Attorney General. And it is a lengthy process that will go to the cabinet, and the cabinet will finally endorse. That is when it will be an agreement. Otherwise now, what we have are wish lists, MOUs.
It's very interesting. The president witnessed the signing of those MOUs, but it will go through the process and come to the cabinet, which is chaired by the president. But we'll wait and see. Jimmy, what are the questions?
No, you can't get away with that. Let me tell you. There are so many things, so much intention that the president has had. But a lot of them, presidents in the world, a lot of them don't see light of day, because when you now start taking them through the process, then they fail at some point. That is when a system is working. When I have the pen of the cabinet secretary, I don't share it with anyone. So long as I am still the cabinet secretary, the day the president removes me, that power goes instantly. But so long as I still have it, I'm the only one who has it. I don't even share it with the president.
These rallies on top of vehicles are becoming dangerous. They should be banned Let people stop being cheapskates. Unajua the reason they do rallies on top of vehicles is because they don't want to hire a stadium. The logistics is cheap. Unachukua convoy, uneka mafuta, and that's it. But the proper way it should be done is the area of interest, you go there, find a stadium or a ground that is free, pay the people to set up the stage, pay the people who are doing the lighting, the sound system, pay the security. Ukitaka hata ulipe watu ndo wakuje, but that is on you. But because Kenya, we don't like doing what is right. We ignore that and we just take an entire convoy to do rallies. Again, I ask, what if that shoe was not a shoe, but a bullet?
I am the president of Kenya, but the president doesn't hold up.
Finish him.
Kenyans, hawa ndio wakombozi. Same old monkeys, baboons, gorillas, different forests.
Barua toka Jaramogi na Kenyatta wanauliza kama Kenya
na vitu zina happen in country ikifika 2027 na uko 18 plus tukupate bila kura. Ai! Utatuambia unaishi wapi? Utatuambia unataka nani apeleke Ruto nyumbani?
Kiongozi wa Kenya kwanza ni nani? Ni Ruto. Kwa hivyo shetani katika hii Kenya ni nani? Ni Ruto. Na ueleze mpaka jirani yako, ueleze mtoto wako, ueleze mjukuu wako aelewe kwamba shetani wa Kenya ni nani? Ni Ruto. Kwa hivyo kila siku asubuhi ukiamka unasema ashindwe.
Huyu Ruto mumwambie tumechoka naye. Kama inatakana tubadilishe katiba ni kupunguza miaka ya Ruto, sio kuongeza atifike 7. We cannot wait to get an opportunity kutuma huu mtu nyumbani kwa sababu kazi imemshinda. Ruto tunataka kwanza kupunguza term yake. Kama ingewezekana hii mwaka ingeisha kama huyu mtu amekaa kwa kiti. Aende nyumbani, kazi imemshinda.
You like me, why them a fight me? You like me, chewing a bomb, a bite. We don't trust them, even if we bust them. We don't trust them, stay far, not touch them. We don't trust them, hope your man a suck them. Informer, me say you must them.